Hey, what's up everybody? Tony with Lido Loca. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. I make daily cruising content. I'm going to make a different kind of video today. Just going to try to make a video without cutting, without doing it over, without umming and anding. I just want to talk about cruising, and I really don't have a topic. So I'm on the wire without a net. Just talking about cruising. Now, the thing that has been in my mind today is what it means to be cheap on a cruise. I've heard this word cheap thrown around a lot lately, and I've seen it in a few comments on a video we posted recently. We did our room tour of our inside cabin on the Carnival Vista, and it was pretty well received. A lot of people are watching that video, a lot of people are commenting, and there's some interesting comments there. There's some comments I really respect. People that come out and say, look, I'm a little claustrophobic. I've got to have some natural light. I don't think I could cruise in an interior cabin because of those things. But there's been some comments that are a little bit off the wall. And let me just preface this. It is the internet, and what I've learned over the last 3 years is there are people out there that just want to write things or say things just to get a rise out of you. But I'm also the kind of person that I feel like there's some sort of nugget of truth that you might be able to pull out of even troll type criticism. Like, is there some nugget in there that you can pull out that you can use to make what you're making better? And so I do read the negative comments, and if they're too crazy, I take them, I hide them on the channel. I hide the user. The cool thing about having this platform is it's kind of a balanced dialogue. And I do have some control over the comment section of our videos, and so if somebody's super trolly and you can tell they're just not nice, I just hide them so you guys don't have to see it and I don't have to see it. But I do read those comments and I'm like, yeah, is there some sort of nugget of truth? So the one with this interior cabin, there's been a few people that said, well, okay, here's the funny one first. My walk-in closet is bigger than this room. Now, look, I've owned a home before. I've had walk-in closets. I kind of like living in an apartment, so that's what I'm used to lately. But that cruise cabin was fairly big. I don't know who's got that kind of walk-in closet, but if you do, you're balling. So kudos to you if that cruise cabin was smaller than your walk-in closet. But the one that bothers me is people saying this is what cheap people book. This is the cheap cabin. This is the cabin for cheap people. And I don't think they meant it in a nice way, right? I could see saying, wow, this is a good option for budget-minded folks. This is a good option for people that are frugal. The way these comments were written is like, look, you're cheap, you booked a cheap cabin, and because I didn't book a cheap cabin, I'm better than you. And so look, I have this platform and I can come on here, you can watch what I say or you can not watch what I say, and that's perfectly fine. But I do kind of draw the line with this whole elitism, people who book interior cabins are cheap, no-count people. It's actually kind of frustrating. I think it hurts cruising in general, and it really bothers me. So here's the thesis. If you book an interior cabin, you are a cheap, no-count person. That's what the trolly commenters are saying. And I just want to say, there's a lot of reasons to book an interior cabin, and price is one of them. For me personally, I want to go cruising as often as possible. Part of what I do, part of how I make a living is going on cruise ships and being able to share going on cruise ships with other people. And it's not cheap. If you want to go on 4 cruises a year, if you want to go on 6 cruises a year, it costs a lot of money. And so, shame on me for trying to be smart with my money. Shame on the person that's frugal. Let's just take a pause right here. Again, I'm not going to cut this video. I do just get worked up about it. I'm a little bit of an idealist. I'm a little bit Pollyannic, I guess you could say. I do believe that everybody has the option how they want to treat another person. I believe it is inside our own ability, our own skill set to say, I'm going to be empathetic to other people, I'm going to be nice to other people, or I'm just going to be jerky to other people. And I see these people, and you see it on the cruise ship. I've had a couple encounters where I've run into people that just wouldn't give you the time of day because of maybe the way you looked, or I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it makes me sad. It's a sad commentary to me on humanity that when you get a bunch of people together with a common interest like cruising, that there's not enough common ground there, that people still have to feel better about themselves by belittling other people. This kind of went off on a tangent. That's the interesting thing about not having an idea and just going without cutting. But yeah, maybe that is the thing. Maybe that's the thing that's coming through, that the universe has given me to talk about today. There's a lot of opportunities. Let's talk about Gilligan's Island. I'm all over the place. Let's talk about Gilligan's Island. If you think about Gilligan's Island, you had the crew, right? You had the skipper and you had Gilligan. The skipper was a man of authority. He was kind of in charge on that little minnow, SS Minnow, and Gilligan was the steward, right? He was the hardworking guy making things happen. You had the movie star who was going out getting some fun and sun on a little boat on a little 3-hour tour, and you had just the regular every woman. You had Mary Ann from the Heartland. You had the Howes, who kind of represented the money on that show, kind of the folks that had a lot of money. And then you had the professor, who really kind of just represents, I would say, the professional worker in today's society. And oddly enough, what that show shows you is that in situations where everybody is put together, you have to find ways to find common ground. And you can go about it a couple ways. You can either hold on to your ideas about your status in life and either look up to others or look down to others, or you can find ways to work together and live in a community. And essentially that's what they did on Gilligan's Island. And it may be a stretch and it may only happen for a week at a time, but everybody is paying to be on the cruise ship. And just because you paid more to be on the cruise ship doesn't mean you're better than the person who didn't pay as much money to be on the cruise ship. The reality is the cruise line, they need to fill up every cabin. And so to them, the person that's booking the expensive cabin is as important as the person who is booking the least expensive cabin. Now, your money may buy you more services or more access, but from a importance, at least to the cruise line and really to each other, it shouldn't make a lot of difference. And look, if you want to have an attitude about, us versus them, it really should be us versus the cruise line. It should be the consumer versus the business. I read an article today, the third quarter earnings came out for the cruise industry, and there was a statement from one of the leaders at NCL basically talking about they look for every opportunity to increase two things. They look for an opportunity to increase the base fare, and they look for opportunities how to get people to spend more money on the cruise ship in addition to the base fare. And they have metrics that mark that. They say, okay, we've increased year over year for how much we've charged for our cabins, and we've increased for how much money we've been able to extract from people when they go on the cruise ship. That's where the real battle is. But that's just business. Like, this is the transaction you're jumping into. You want as much services as possible for the least amount of money, and they want to give the least amount of services for the most amount of money. And that's really what we're engaged in. That's consumerism. That's America 101. And it's crazy to me that in the midst of all of that, you're going to look at the person who's figured out a good way to be smart with their money, to save money, to go on a cruise, and do that in the most frugal way possible, and somehow feel like they're less than the person that can ball it out, popping corks, and staying in a suite. I know this video is not the normal Lido Loca video, but it's kind of bothering me. I just wanted to come with a message today that said, let's be good to one another. Let's quit trying to put down people who cruise the way that they cruise, and just enjoy yourself. Life is too short. And the secret is, none of us are really any better than anybody else. Look, I'm 50 years old. I've seen a lot of life. Trust me or don't trust me, but guess what? At the end of the day, nobody's really that much better than anybody else. And really how we relate to each other is what makes the difference. And if you got more money than the next guy, good for you. But it doesn't make you better than the next guy. And if you have less money, it doesn't make you any better than the person that has more money. I'm just going to end at that. What do you think? If you does cruising in an interior cabin indicate somebody that's cheap in a negative way? Leave a comment below. Thanks so much for stopping by. Tony with Lido Loca, and until the next weird little rant, I'll see you on the Lido. Bye.